Hey everybody. Today I'm going to install Xampp, which I know some of you guys have already done. One of my main server box went down, and that's a bummer. That particular server, I've got a couple servers running here. A couple of them just kind of not really for fun, just, they're there to test with and experiment, whatever. So, the box itself is bad, and I don't feel like messing with it right now. Those of you who have paid attention to my vlogs in the past will know that I recently bricked one of my tablets, and if you don't know what that means, basically, well, I didn't totally brick it, but bricking is usually when you make a tablet or device that's worth something, when you make it basically useless. I did not make my tablet useless, but I lost the screen. I've got a Acer Windows 7 tablet here. I'll show you here. It's made an appearance in my videos before when it was working. Now right now it looks like a netbook. That's because I've got it docked here. But if I actually pull this up, which I don't want to do right now, it would be a tablet. Luckily it's got an HDMI port out, which I have plugged into this monitor here. So that's why I say it's not totally bricked. It's just not what it, I can't use it for what I was going to use it for. What is neat about it, though, is this is something that I didn't necessarily even know when I purchased it. And sorry guys, I'm tired, so I'm talking slower than normal, which is pretty slow. Once I bricked it, I had taken a look. I had realized it was running kind of slow, and I looked at how much memory I had left, and I realized this thing's only got 32 gigs of hard drive space. And I thought, that's ridiculous. There's got to be something wrong. And I could have sworn this had a 250 gig hard drive in it, and I was totally thinking of something else. What I didn't realize was this has a solid state hard drive in it, which a 250 gigabyte solid state hard drive would be very expensive, at least at this point in the world, or in time. But I started thinking about it. There may be a possibility that I can get this fixed. I'm going to take it in one day to see if the screen's fixable, because the touch part of it actually works. I can touch things on the screen, oddly enough, and it will manipulate the screen above, which is kind of like having a drawing tablet, because I really don't know where I'm at until I push down. But to not get sidetracked, what I thought was neat was the fact that it is solid state, which means it will run a little faster, or it can. So I'm going to keep this thing stripped down. I'm not going to put any software on it that's not necessary. I'm going to take a lot of the Acer stuff off, and I'm simply going to install Apache and the whole Xampp package. And I'm going to do so, which this is a technique I didn't create, but I came up with after one of my first server went down, or first or second, and it was at a very critical point. I needed files off of there, and not just files, but I needed access to the MySQL database, and the computer was old enough that it only had I think it only had IDE hard drives, and the computer I'm using now, my main machine, is only SATA, and for whatever reason it was going to be a real pain to get the hard drive out, and I kept trying to fix it, and every once in a while I could get it to work, and I should have gotten all the information off of there and backed it up, but I didn't, so there's a lesson learned. But then I got wise and I realized I've got a handful of portable hard drives, and why not go ahead and use one of those? So for the next server, the one that just recently went down, I started using this little 80 gig hard drive that I had floating around, and that worked out pretty good. It had all my documents on it and everything. The only thing I did that I didn't think through very clearly was I only put the documents on there, the like the document root, things like that, repositories. I didn't put the actual server software on there, and this time around I'm going to do that. That way I truly have a portable server. So that way if something goes down, it's going to be way easier to access everything, to get to my databases and all that stuff. I can take the hard drive out and put it into another computer. Now hopefully this won't go down. It sounds like I've got either bad luck with servers, or I don't know what I'm doing, and it's probably just a little bit in between there. But the computers I'm using for servers are old beat up machines anyways, so they didn't have a shelf life that was very long anyways. This semi-brick tablet, however, is pretty much brand new, and I'm hoping it will serve as no pun intended, but serve as a very good machine to be my server for the moment. So I really just need the power of the tablet and the space of the hard drive. And this hard drive I'm using, it looks like it's kind of, I don't know, it's probably only a couple of years old. It's a Toshiba something or other. I actually just picked it up. I think it's like 700 gigs, 750, something like that. We'll take a look. Sorry, I'm not using my screen software, so this is a little different. Okay, so it's a 500 gigabyte hard drive. That's much better than the 80 gig I was using. What I like about this little hard drive, though, is that I picked it up from, get the slide out of here. Maybe not. I got it for free in return for moving the documents off of it onto a Mac, which the Mac was not having it. It was not compatible. So I moved someone's music library off of there and put it on their Mac, their new MacBook, Mac Air, something or other. And in return they realized, well, then I don't need this hard drive, and they handed it over to me. So that's cool. And I mean, I got paid for the gig too, so that was a nice deal there. Sometimes doing computer work for friends has its benefits. Sometimes it's not as fun. Anyway, I thought I'd go through really quick. This isn't really an official tutorial because if it was official, I'd be using the screen capture software and all that. But like I said, I want to keep this computer light. I don't want to have all that software running on here. So I'm not going to install the screen capturing software. What I'm going to do is just try and get a halfway decent view of the monitor for you guys and go from there. So let's see what we can do. Oh, well, that's going to have to do. It's not like you're, I mean, you'll be able to read. I'll tell you where we're at. But right now we're at apachefriends.org. And we're going to just simply go and we want to download Xampp for Windows or whatever operating system you're using. Click download, and I'm going to use the installer version. It's the quickest way to do it. Might as well. And it takes me over to SourceForge, which is where they have it stored. And we're going to save it. And some of you have already done this. But as that's downloading, as we install this, I'll explain why this server is important to me. One, it's my testing server, and that's important. Right now I've had to test on my main computer, and I don't like doing that. Two, I have it actually connected to the internet, or to the web, using a service called DynDNS, where I just bought a domain name and I paid this company like $30 a month, or a year, sorry, and they go ahead and they run a little updater that runs in the background on my computer that tells the service what my new IP address is, since it's dynamic and not a static IP, thus allowing me to attach that to the domain name, which is artists.org without the A, and it allows me to use that domain name and use this here as a normal server, as a dedicated server. It's only as fast as my internet connection, and a lot of internet providers frown against that, and so I'd be careful when you're doing that. Try not to have too much traffic. So that's why we're doing it. So I'm going to double click on this here. It's saying select your language, and then it's talking about your user account controls, which is something that I find very annoying. It's that thing that pops up all the time every time you want to do something to your computer. Do you really want to do this? For those who aren't as savvy, I'd always keep that active, but for those of you who have been doing this forever, it's just a nuisance. Of course I want to do it, that's why I clicked on it. So I'm going to go to Browse, and I'm going to find my hard drive, which I labeled, I named it the same as my domain name. So we're going to install that in a folder called Xampp. Say next. We're going to install Apache as a service, MySQL as a service, FileZilla as a service. We'll talk about that some other day, why. Go ahead and hit install, and it's going to run through the install. Now, if I haven't made myself clear with what I was talking about with the Dyn DNS service, which maybe we'll pull that up while we're waiting for this to install. This does take a little while to install. I believe you can get to them by dyn.org. Nope. Dyn.com. There we go. They're a great service. They, like I said, the benefit is that I can run this like my own hosting. In fact, I mean, you could technically run your own hosting account off of this, which I wouldn't really advise. But instead of like right now, I have a lot of students who are asking me questions. But all their files are stored on their local computer. They've installed Xampp and they're running Apache and all that. They've done a great job setting that up, but I still have no access to it. When they need help, I can't see them. I can't FTP into it. I can't even pull it up in a browser. They have to email me the documents, and as our projects get bigger, that becomes more and more of a pain. So we don't want that. Now, I mentioned that it costs $30 a year to use this. Now, that's not totally free. You can actually they allow you to have a free account, which gives you what, I forget what they call the product, but basically they do kind of what I do with my free hosting, and that is they allow you to have a subdomain off of one of their domain names. So you could have something like, the digital craft .dyndns.org, and that's free. They'll automatically send that to whatever your computer or whatever computer you're using as your server. Now you do need to do some settings on your router, things like that, which we're not going to get into, and we might maybe do a full tutorial on that. I don't know. That's kind of hard to do since all the routers are different. The concepts are the same, but the routers are different. I would suggest looking online for your specific router and all that. And Dyn DNS, the company, their support actually has a little walkthrough and some links to some resources for that. Let's check okay, we're still installing there, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. I think I'm up for a renewal here soon. Alright, the host service, that's the free service, and they allow you to have two subdomains. The other service is the domain name service, which they've got several different services for that. Yeah, it looks like I gotta pay here in the next couple of days. But their cheapest service is around $30 a year, and that's not bad. $30 a year plus the $10-15 whatever for the domain name. You have a server that you can not only use as your testing server locally, but you could also use it as an actual server for your website if you have something simple, or if you just want to have access to your files. I've used these in the past. I have a daughter who lives in Florida. She's 9 and or will be 9 soon, and I've used it to share. She spends the summers with me, and I've used it to share photos between my family here with our kids and her family there with her mom and boyfriend and all that, So it's a way to share photos and videos and stuff like that. Share really whatever you want. That's up to you. But I just thought I'd introduce you to this. There's some other services out there that offer these same kind of the same deal: free hosting, domain hosting, and some paid services. But yeah, I just thought I'd introduce you to that. We'll do one of these days. We'll do an actual tutorial on working with Apache and Xampp, because there's going to be some parameters I need to change. For instance, I'm going to install a version or a subversion on here so I can do repositories, and I need to alter some of the configuration files with Apache for where I'm going to store my documents, where I'm going to store my repository files, things like that. That's all important. So, so yeah, maybe we'll talk about that one day. I didn't really want to. I don't know. I didn't really have any other purpose for this blog or vlog other than to just kind of talk about Xampp a little bit. Trying to think if there's anything else I can talk about. Somebody had mentioned courses, as well as a subscription-based live Q&A service. These are options for me to generate revenue on the site. Both of these actually, I really appreciate the suggestion from our viewer. Both of these are things that I've been tossing around and working on. In fact, if you look at the board, there are some preliminary ideas going there. That's in the works. I want to make sure I have that down pretty well organized before I start that, and that's both for your benefit and my own. A lot of these tutorials I make them on the fly. If that's not obvious, sometimes you can tell that I'm making them up as I go. So courses, I don't have that luxury. I need to have them planned out, and I'll have syllabus and potentially even some books to maybe pick up to help along the way. I'm going to try and make it as cost effective as possible. So if I don't need books, or if you guys don't need books, I'm not going to try and get you guys to buy books if we can do it without. Now the real big hurdle I have right now is figuring out what courses to offer. I don't want to just throw out a whole bunch of courses and hope that I can fill them all. So I'm going to try and focus on a core, maybe anywhere from 1 to 3 courses, and start with that. And they'll be probably basic, either something like an intro to graphic design, an intro to web design, an intro to web development, something like that, or even maybe software based, maybe Photoshop, or an intro to Photoshop, or I say intro because why not? We can start there, and then we can make advanced courses after that. But I don't know. That coupled with the private tutoring, I think if I can get that rolling, or this rolling here, the private tutoring is already starting to pick up some momentum, which is great. Then we can, as I've mentioned before, and I'm a broken record, we can halt some of the fundraising efforts. I'd much rather make money on the site by doing actual classes and courses than having to rely on fundraisers. But that's that. I don't know if there's anything else really to talk about. I did mention recently that in the last dynamic video we are using the CS6 software because I've subscribed to the Creative Cloud versions, which allows me to have all the current Adobe products, which is very good, and if you can afford that, I would definitely go that route. This way we can keep current, even though I'm going to start using Eclipse and some other tools. Photoshop is pretty much indispensable, and we'll still do some of the tutorials in Dreamweaver, just some of these more in-depth development tutorials where we're going to use things like Eclipse and tools like that. So anyway, I think that's good enough. We'll end with a awful close-up here of me, unshaven, tired, and that's it. So thanks you guys for watching, and hopefully I get this server up and running soon. So we'll see you.